If you needed another example of just how wild the transfer portal can be, then look no further than Tallahassee, Florida. But don't worry, Florida State fans, it all worked out in your favor, and 2 top-ranked players will be back on the field next season. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ACC Uprising. My name is Grant Mitchell, and I appreciate you all rocking out with us here today on the channel. We got a fun one cooking up, which is just another classic story of NIL shenanigans and the frenzy that everybody can be thrown into in this modern day and age of college football. Now, in this video, we are going to be talking about Florida State, but here at ACC Uprising, we are committed to covering every single team across the conference. So no matter who you support, who you cheer for, who you pray on the downfall for, or pray on the downfall of, I'm thinking of so many words and prepositions. You get the point that I'm making here. We got a video, we got content for you right here. So make sure you hit the like button if you are enjoying it, and subscribe if you are new around here. Why not kick it for a little bit with us? We got a fun period going on with the transfer portal, but we got spring ball coming up, and then we're going to be making our way. I know it sounds crazy. You know, we're only in January, but we got the national championship game. We're going to have spring ball coming soon. We're going to have the summer workouts, and then it's going to be time to get back out on the field. And you want a channel that's going to keep you covered on all of it. So do hit that subscribe button. All right, let's talk about the 2 men of the hour, the men of the last couple of weeks, which is really where this story picks up from. Mandrell and Daryll Desir. Now, they have officially returned to Florida State. This is such an interesting story. This is one of those moments. Let me adjust my microphone real quick. This is one of those moments where I'm just thankful that I get to talk about cool stories. And cool, I don't know if that's the right word, but just interesting. I always liked history class when I was in school. That was always my favorite class because I liked hearing these cool stories from throughout the world. And this is a fun story from the world of NIL. So the twin brothers officially entered the transfer portal on Wednesday night, according to 247 Sports. That was after 2 weeks of negotiations with Florida State did not end in a resolution. Now, you can take a guess as to what they were negotiating. Yes, they were negotiating their NIL package. Didn't come up with a resolution. Finally, on Wednesday, they are officially in the portal. It had been their intention to hit the portal since January 4th. Would have been huge losses, since not only are they young, upcoming, exciting talents, but both were expected to play very large roles on the defensive line this season. A young Florida State defense, by the way. And them coming off of being true freshmen, going into their sophomore year, they were a part of that. And you've seen the potential from them, and it would have been a big loss if they weren't there. Here's a direct quote from an article I was reading on 247 earlier. Per reporting by Knowles 247 Zach Blostein, the Desirs and FSU renegotiated their initial rookie contracts ahead of the 2025 campaign after the two continually impressed in the spring and summer. So that's interesting. So the NIL negotiations, they're no strangers to it. Florida State's no stranger to being at the table with these two brothers. They had renegotiated after impressing in the spring and the summer. Back to the article here. Quote, the two sides came to financial terms multiple times during the renegotiation process, with buyout terms being a sticking point that seemingly halted a deal from being reached officially before this step of the process. Now, the pair were going to be free to take visits on Thursday once the dead period ended. Keep in mind, they have it in their mind. They're going to enter the portal going back to January 4th. They've been negotiating for a couple of weeks. On Wednesday, they are officially in the portal. On Thursday, they are free to go visit other schools because the dead period ended. Ohio State, one of the teams supposedly in the mix, at least showing some level of interest. So big schools on the radar, big schools that allegedly were after them. They were ranked as the number 4 and number 5 ranked transfer prospects at their position in the portal. So again, big names that people would have been after. Well, just when you thought the story was done, they try to negotiate, can't come to a resolution. This is all on Wednesday, right? On Thursday, they're free to take visits. On Thursday, it was revealed that both Desir brothers would return to Tallahassee. Both now come back to school with seemingly NIL packages and compensation agreements in place. They both return to Florida State, where they're going to have the opportunity to compete for starting spots. It's just a wild story of a whole back and forth. There's all these renegotiations that already happened multiple times during their freshman year, and then they're in the portal and they're lining up visits. Ohio State wants them, and all of a sudden they're right back. It's a constant whirlwind. I can only imagine what programs that don't have proper NIL staffing resources. I'm not even talking about finances for the coaches. This is why in the modern day college football, you need GMs and you need people in your personnel department to handle this. Because I don't possibly see how one head coach could be trying to work with all this while also trying to recruit, out of the portal, while also trying to hire a staff, replace any outgoings, while also trying to figure out a game plan, while trying to figure out who's on his roster, who's he supposed to work with next season. There's just so much going on all the time. Now, these two players, again, I've said this several times, they look like they could be something. Coming out of high school, Daryll was a 4-star and Mandrell was only a 3-star. Now, I don't have brothers, but my best friends are twins, and I can only imagine the sibling beef, and friendly, but rivalry that would be going on if one twin was a 4-star and the other was a 3-star. But when they get to campus, not the pedigree, the title didn't necessarily match the production. Daryll was still solid, 23 tackles and a sack as a true freshman, but Mandrell actually had 30 tackles, 6.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. So he was sticking it to anybody that called him a 3-star. He said, hey, you see what I just did out there on the field? Yeah, that's for all of you guys. So Florida State, as I mentioned, very young defense, freshmen, sophomores all over the place, redshirt guys, some juniors. They're really not losing much on this defense. And bringing back the Desir brothers will certainly help out as this team looks to climb the ladder back to where it is used to competing at. You know, up there at the top, it was UVA last year with 11 wins, and then Duke in the conference championship game with a record of 7-5. With Miami in the conference, with SMU in the conference, with Clemson in the conference, Florida State is supposed to be up there competing, and last year was as open as you're ever going to get. And when you start the year with that win over Alabama, considering how the year actually finished, it was just a wild, wacky, topsy-turvy year for the ACC as a whole. But FSU is on the climb to get back to where they are used to being. And my question for Florida State fans, this is where I put the ball in your court. I put the onus on you. What I want you to do before you click off of this video is I want you to scroll down into the comment section and I want you to leave me your thoughts on the team. Obviously, you got the Desir twins back. That's going to help out. But what do you make of the team overall? How are you feeling about the coach? What do you think the strengths and the weaknesses of the roster are? What are you confident in? What are some things that maybe you're a little nervous about? And I guess what are you looking for before the team gets back out on the field next fall? It's only January. We've obviously got the national championship game next Monday, which does quite clearly involve an ACC team. And sorry, Florida State fans, if you hate Miami, which the vast majority of you guys do. I'm hoping it's a good game at the very least because Miami has already done a good thing for the ACC. They have proven the level of competition and they've got more money coming into the conference. Granted, the rev sharing, they get to keep it, but there are more eyes on the ACC right now, so I'm just excited to see that game. But I am excited as well to see what happens all throughout the offseason and as we get ready for next season. But hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you are new around here. And again, FSU fans, leave your thoughts down below. I appreciate y'all rocking out here at ACC Uprising. I'm going to head out of here, and I'll catch you in the next one.